Welcome to Family Basics 101. I'm Dr. Bruce McClure, and as we continue our 5-part series on addictions, today we will focus on the treatment of addictions. On Monday, we defined addictions. On yesterday, we simply talked about the various types of addictions, and today we will talk about how do you treat addictions. Treatment, according to the American Heritage Dictionary, is the act or the manner or the method of dealing with someone or something. That is the simplified definition of treatment. A good treatment will take into consideration the specific setting, behaviors, and the reason that the settings and the behaviors must be taken into consideration in terms of treating addictions is so that a positive, a forward-thinking, and a remedy-oriented treatment plan is put together that has a projected outcome of success for the individual and their specific type of addiction. So it's a good treatment plan will take into consideration the specific setting and the behaviors of the individual in order to construct a plan that has a specified projected outcome. When we talk about the method of treatment, the method for treating addictions are determined not by one, but by multiple factors such as the disposition of the individual, the specific addiction, the availability of a consistent and selected modality of treatment, and commitment of the administrators of the treatment. In essence, if there isn't commitment of those who are ensuring or administering the treatment plan, if the person is not available psychologically, or if they're still continuing in their addiction behavior, then treatment is not going to be successful. And there must be a compliance from the individual who is the recipient of the treatment. In essence, if a person is non-compliant and very combative throughout the treatment process, then it becomes almost impossible to treat the addiction. Let's talk about intervention and how intervention plays a role in treating any type of addiction. Intervention is the initial challenge of the addictive person's substance addictions or their process addictions. If you recall in the earlier stream, we talked about the substance addictions being things like nicotine, alcohol, illicit drugs, and sometimes even prescribed drugs, medication. Or process addictions, we're talking about things like gambling, lying, stealing, addictions to sex, things of that nature. So we're talking about substances and we're talking about processes. But regardless of the two, intervention is the initial challenge of that addiction. And the purpose of intervention is to force the addicted individual to assess what they are going to lose if they do not get help for themselves. Intervention can originate from several sources. The best place is from a self-assessment within the individual who is locked into his or her own personal addiction. It's always best if that person will intervene in their own life and say, I am destroying my loved ones, I'm destroying myself, I'm destroying my career, and I am destroying myself physically. Or intervention can originate from the criminal justice system. In other words, it can be court ordered that if you do not get help for whatever this addiction is, then we will lock you up. Another source of intervention can originate from employers. There are jobs who will give employees an opportunity to clean up their act. And if they do not comply within 30, 60, or 90 days, then they're terminated. And then intervention can originate from loved ones, families, those people who live with the individual, those people who are close to the individual. But intervention, keep in mind, is the initial challenge of the addicted person's behavior. And the purpose of that initial challenge is to move the individual to seek out the help they need in order to eradicate whatever the addictive behavior might be. In terms of treating the addictions, let's talk as we wrap up about receiving the addiction treatment in terms of the process of that. When you talk about the receiving of the treatment, it can be painful because in the process of receiving treatment, you're isolating the individual from the thing that created the addiction. So they can have what we consider withdrawal pains, withdrawal from sex, withdrawal from gambling, withdrawal from controlled substances, withdrawal from alcohol, withdrawal from nicotine. So it can be painful. The addictive treatment can also be humbling because it allows the person for the first time to understand that they are absolutely out of control. And it's humbling for the person to see how they function initially void of whatever the addictive behavior might be. It can also be shameful. It can be embarrassing to an individual to say to another, whether it's in an in-house or an outpatient addiction program or addiction treatment program, that I have almost ruined my family, I've almost lost my job, I've ruined my careers, and I've ruined the lives of other people, and I am really ruining myself. It can really be a shameful experience. It can also be confrontational, because when people are deprived of what they have utilized over time to keep them in their mind functioning, they will confront the treatment plan, they will confront the people in the treatment program, they will think the family or the loved ones or the people in the job environment are really not on their side, so they can become confrontational. In the process of receiving treatment, it can be a very volatile or combustible event because the person is on edge. So at any point, the individual could really explode, cloud up, and rain all over everyone and say, forget this, forget everybody, I'll be on my own. It can be a very emotional time, but at the same time, there are some positive attributes about receiving treatment. It can be liberating. For the first time in the individual's life, they can be set free from the addiction that has controlled them. It can be empowering. It can allow the individual, if they receive treatment, to understand that they can function without the addiction. It can also be refreshing. They don't have to look over their shoulders for the police or to get a pink slip in their mailbox at work or not to be embraced in an unconditional positive regard manner because of their abnormal behavior in relationships. And then one of the most positive results of receiving treatment, it will quiet the spirit inside the person. In the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verses 20 through 34, there's a story about a man by the name of Balaam. And Balaam attempted to work against the commandments of God. And finally, his donkey, Balak, has to stop him. In essence, we're talking about intervention. At some point, somebody may require stepping in to intervene in order for a person to get the treatment they need. I'll see you back in class again next time. Don't be late and don't skip class.